Hey, what's up, guys? Rob here. What you're about to listen to is an excerpt from the weekly podcast that I'm a part of called The Juice is Loose. It's just a smaller part to a much larger conversation. So if you are interested in hearing the full episode or subscribing to the podcast or any of the guests on the podcast, you can do so by following the links in the description below. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.
I wanted this to be the likely games, even though I said Kingdom Hearts 3, but Resident Evil 7 is my likely one.
It's pretty likely.
So I guess sticking to the likely possibility side.
I think they'll announce the Cloud Amiibo release date, and then they'll show Final Fantasy VII Remastered.
Ooh, that's not a bad one.
I don't think they'll actually do that. They might do the remake. Honestly, I think it should be on the Switch.
Oh yeah, we got Dragon Quest anyway coming. I mean,
because I was leaning more on the Final Fantasy 15.
No, I totally agree. I think.
But then when you said 7, I was like, that's a really.
Well, Final Fantasy 7's Unreal Engine. Final Fantasy 15 was a custom game engine.
Yeah.
They might do both. Honestly, I truly believe they might do both.
They'll test the waters with 15. That's what
so. It'd be a lot more work probably to get 15 running, but. So, Rob, is that your answer?
Well, no, that wasn't one of my answers. For me, Kingdom Hearts 3 was one of them. So I don't think that is so impossible. But I actually would think that would be an E3 thing and not a Thursday thing. But for me, Red Dead Redemption, I think, is a possibility. And because it would be if it was coming and they secured that game, it would be huge. It would be freaking huge news and a huge win for Nintendo. Also, I'll sneak in a little bit that Dark Souls rumor. So maybe something's happening on the Dark Souls from Software front. And
which one do you want to put as your first most likely?
I'm going to say, I think I'll stick with Red Dead. I'm going to stick with Red Dead.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not even that likely, but I think it's more likely of a lock for Thursday than Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
You know what I'm going to throw out one more, and it's really random because this game is relatively old.
Mm-hmm.
I know they said they're not putting Mass Effect Andromeda on the Switch, but that doesn't mean we couldn't get the trilogy game, right?
No, I think they will bring Andromeda to the Switch. That's another thing I was going to say.
Yeah, but I'm saying if we
I hope.
I would think we would get trilogy since, if they're playing the logic of, well, Nintendo fans haven't played this franchise yet.
I think it's too late. You know what? It's too late, and the trilogy doesn't affect Andromeda. They're not related, so I don't think that they would feel compelled to have to do that because you don't have to play the Shepard trilogy to know Andromeda.
I think it's more so just to test the interest in Mass Effect, period, though.
It would be
did they
such
release
a waste.
the trilogy on the?
So it's been 3 out on the Wii U without all the DLC.
Yeah, they would have to.
They haven't.
Yeah, they have to port that from like 360 or something. So.
Yeah.
That's not only what you call it.
No.
I forgot about that.
Wouldn't it be something if Andromeda and Red Dead get confirmed, and then a certain podcast clip that was like 2 of the major points.
He's like dancing around it. Just say it because you're looking for a Beyond pun, and I don't think you're gonna find it.
I would love it if that happened, man.
I can see him in the background. I can see Juice just reaching.
But people would be beyond excited if they announced.
Oh, see, it's terrible.
If they got that, I'm telling you, like it's game over. People.
Oh, by the way. For the listeners of the podcast, the hashtag for this podcast is #fuck IGN. Just letting you know.
And I will say, Per Snyder.
I still like IGN.
Per Snyder was very civil with trying to defend, even though he said he disagreed. It was actually me and OJ, and Per was responding directly to us. So,
and Per is a good guy and a stalwart Nintendo fan.
He is, and if you've seen the photos, the dude's making some money. If you've seen his freaking house, holy shit!
Oh yeah, that guy travels. He travels a lot. He speaks German, Japanese, and English fluently, so he does a lot of traveling in the whole video game scene. He's a good, honest dude.
But Brian has been exposed.
Brian.
I like Brian, but that was.
He's no longer a Nintendo fan. He is a fucking Nintendo hater at this
He's
point.
a pretendo. Lol.
Yeah. So anyway, enough about that.
Very sad day.
So the question. Next, we're going to get on to hardware. Will Nintendo mention a single thing about power specs? I'm not talking like exact specs. Will they even talk about the power of the system?
No.
I mean, even if it's saying, hey, when you undock it, it cuts power, in half and drops these settings or whatever. Anything like that from Nintendo.
I think if they do that, they'll say when docked, it will go to 1080p or something like.
I know. It's like
they'll spin it to a positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I would say overall no.
Yeah, I'm thinking more, even that would be barely count as talking specs or power.
See that, but I will say that's what I think they might do, is they will discuss the difference. If in fact there is anything to the dock, which has been guessed but not confirmed, if they confirm the dock does something to the performance of the game, yes, I think they will address that in some fashion. Hopefully in good enough to really make people, in good enough of a way to make people really understand it. And the other thing I think they might do, because again, Nintendo does this in simple terms. They don't bring out all the numbers and consonant combinations of this bullshit and that. They're just going to say, we're proud of the advanced power over the Wii U. Something to that effect. They're gonna really be proud of the fact that it's a more powerful console than their previous one. They'll talk about the fact the dock adds to your gaming experience in this way and this way, but no way will they mention actual specs, which a couple people on my last video from yesterday started talking about, oh man, if they don't mention specs, it's going to be a problem. They won't tell us Tegra this and that. I'm like, you expect Tegra talk on stage? You're crazy.
Yeah. So
they will not say that word on stage.
Yeah, here's the next question. Will they have Nvidia there? A representative or anybody in Nvidia there to talk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not 100%.
I'm going to say no.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
I'm going to say yes.
Because maybe they feel uncomfortable talking about it.
You also remember, this is Nvidia's like first home console representative. I feel like they're going to be out there saying something.
Damn, that's a good point. That's a really. I forgot.
It's not like AMD, where AMD has always been in control of the consoles for a while. Nvidia, this is their first like outing. I feel like they're gonna have somebody from Nvidia go. And if if anyone talks specs, it probably would be Nvidia. You would have Nvidia come out there and talk about the power of the Switch, and they might be the one to talk specs.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That changes the whole power talking conversation. If we expect Nvidia to be there.
Yeah.
And I still don't know that I do, but you make a really good point, Terrell. And they even, I don't know if you guys saw today, I retweeted it too from GameSpot, that they had this big old quote from one of the big Nvidia CEO guys about how fantastic he sees the Switch being, and it's going to be this perfectly Nintendo thing that's really going to capture this and that.
About to say,
so they're very proud of what they're doing.
Yeah. I'm gonna say if you chose to partner with Nintendo and do this kind of device
for the first time,
and you're not gonna get out there and show and talk about how great the product is, I don't believe that.
They'll talk about it. If they're there, they will talk about it. You make a good point.
Definitely.
So, Rob, do you think Nvidia will be there on stage, or?
God, I'm now, after hearing Terrell talk, I'm playing in my brain 2 different versions of this conference. And one of them, an NVIDIA guy comes out and just starts talking about all that stuff. And it feels real. It feels right when I play that version.
Because that'd be their way of having the specs talk without them having to do it.
It's true. And people will buy it because it's coming from NVIDIA and not Nintendo.
Exactly.
It would be the smartest way to do it. So damn it, I'm gonna say
yes.
Yes.
Look at that greatness. Look what just happened. That was
beautiful. All right.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna say yes. Yeah.
On that talk, this direction we're taking, I think they will say. Do you think they'll say the screen resolution? Because all they've said is a bright, high definition display at this point.
I'm gonna say no, because I think what will happen is. And I think we should remember this too, how these things play out, especially with Nintendo. In the hours and days after this, they'll release some of that information into the wild.
So let's instead of asking, what do you think eventually the confirmed resolution of the screen will be? 720 or 1080?
Yeah, 720.
I would love 1080, but 720. It'll be 720.
I'm gonna say 1080.
You think?
You overestimating people, you can get disappointed, Juice.
480.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
And the only reason I feel a little bit like that's probably a bad choice is because they kept saying a bright high definition display. If it was 1080, I think they would have said it right away. But I just think because cell phone screens are like 1440p and above, I just don't think there's going to be much cost savings to make 720p. And I don't even know if there's that big of a difference on a 6-inch screen. All I know is on my phone, going from the lower res screen to the new higher res screen I have, I could see a great difference. I just don't know if it's maybe the technology of the screen and less of the resolution.
Yeah, I think that's the real key to that answer, right? Is where the difference in visual clarity truly comes from.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of us know.
I think 720p personally, because that's implying, to me, to kind of get the base experience out of the game. And even if the game's running, because to be honest, I still think what we'll probably get is a lot of 720p 60 frame games. It makes more sense to me to just have it be a 720p screen.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the fact that it's probably gonna be 720p undocked, and why have a 1080p screen?
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, the one reason you would want a 1080p screen is because you can tell the world it's a 1080p screen.
Yeah, and it would be
And
better
that
for
does-
VR.
Oh yeah, for VR, sure.
It depends
if that's there. So
yeah,
But it becomes such a great bullet point that unfortunately most of the gaming public nowadays eats that shit up. And they'll be like, 1080, it's what I care about. Now I'll buy it.
Well, yeah, because I was gonna say, well, how much more would it cost to change that? Like,
I don't know.
That to me, that would kind of go into them saying they're not going to take a loss on it. Makes me think, well, why would they? Especially if you have this whole architecture that makes the game scalable. It's kind of like, if it's 1080.
And I will say that that terrible Fire tablet I had was only like 720p resolution, but when I was watching the Amazon instant video of a movie, it looked really good. So
yeah, well, that's the thing is my whole thing. I think we all know and can agree that the difference on that screen between 720 and 1080 won't impact our game playing at all.
No, because
So
I mean
if
the gamepad
Nintendo-
looks pretty good.
Yeah, but the gamepad's only
looks-
4, and the gamepad's only 480.
And that's 480. So we know 720 would more than get the job done. So my whole feeling is if it would save Nintendo significant money, I would say just save the money. The only reason I would actually want 1080 is so they can literally use it as a bullet point to get other people excited.
Yeah,
but
that's the only
like
way.
I say, if the games are getting downscaled, it doesn't really seem like it's really worth it to have.
It wouldn't hurt to
screen.
have a 1080p screen with a 720 native resolution because
it wouldn't hurt. I just don't see that much of a benefit to it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer the 1080, but not because I care, just because it's like, well, might as well.
And I don't even think I don't know what that would affect performance to have to upscale the 1080 for
that's a good point.
So,
yeah, the battery life, right? The battery life.
Yeah, that's the next question. So let's go right into it. I was gonna do an over under but then it's just like, where do you draw the line? I guess we'll just throw out, what do you think they'll say the battery life is, and what do you think the actual battery?
I don't think they're gonna say it.
Juice,
I don't think they're gonna say it.
You don't think they're gonna talk about battery life?
I don't think they're gonna tell you how long it is.
Yeah,
It might just say, they may give like vague statements like it's good or it's
it's good.
or it's serviceable, that kind of stuff.
It's good.
I
think it's gonna be very vague, and I'm gonna bet it's somewhere. I want to say 5 hours.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm more in line to believe it'll be like 4.
I think they're gonna throw out the 3 to 4 hours, and I think 3 is gonna be the actual. If you have it on a brightness level, that looks good.
Well, that's because I think it'd be 5 hours.
Is this one of these things where it has to be brought up at the show, or do you just mean the final?
Just whenever we find out.
Okay.
Just in case they should bring it up at the show, though, I wanted to ask.
Which I think is possible. I think it's pretty possible they do. I'm gonna say 4. I think 4 hours.
I'm gonna say 3.
Damn.
I can't imagine them running Breath of the Wild and getting like 5 hours out of the thing. I just don't see it.
I'm sticking with 4.
All right. See what people are saying in the chat here.
We're lowballing. I think 3. They can't let it be as low as 3. Even though I don't even feel like that's.
They wouldn't admit it was 3 at that point. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It just because I look at stuff like our phones, the laptops, all this stuff. They go by so quick when you're playing.
If you're playing a game,
that's true.
Incredibly quick.
And that's why it's when you bring that up, Robert, and that's why it's almost unfair for people to levy this huge responsibility on Nintendo to make it 7 hours.
I know.
Well, yeah,
It's like
people
no
are
other
literally
device anyone's using has a 7-hour fucking battery life.
Exactly. I don't get that at all. People
think-
But
literally
Nintendo
being
has to
tired.
figure it out.
anything beyond 3 hours, I would say is
A
pretty
win.
good.
It's fine. Yeah. If it's 4 hours, I'll be surprised.
Tablets is 3 hours.
Yeah,
What
if
is
you're
now?
playing a game though, I can have my phone in standby for 2 days, but if I'm playing Super Mario Run, if it was on there on Android, I think it would be more like 2 to 3 hours, I would think.
Yeah.
And the original 3DS was barely 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours. The gamepad with the standard battery is about 3 hours. The extended battery gets you 5 to 6. But so here's the thing. There's especially in Brian Altano, he was putting so much emphasis, and that other guy, we're putting so much emphasis on the Beyond podcast about the battery life. And yeah, these guys travel a lot and stuff, but to me, the battery life is a non-factor.
But
It
Juice,
absolutely is a non.
this is also the same guy who said that apparently the frames per second were going to get lowered. If
Oh,
you
yeah, that
undock
kind
the console.
Yeah. Based on all these facts.
Yeah,
Well,
where
here's
the
the-
hell did that come from? That was pulled out of fucking.
Yeah, I'm about to say
thin
that's
air.
like, and that's not even rumor because I haven't heard
No.
any rumors on that
No.
one. So that's just random shit you made up.
But anyway,
I mean, to me, the battery life.
is absolutely a non-factor, and because I don't plan on traveling. If I did, I'm sure there's an AC adapter you can
Take
charge
the
it.
adapter.
Yep. Well, because they have what is it, USB-C or something?
That
called?
USB-C.
Which means that's for everything, right? So it's kind of like it's great. That means you could charge it anywhere you want.
It's
Yeah.
becoming the standard way of charging.
So
Yeah.
I feel like to me the battery life number is one of those things where in reality for most people it won't actually matter, Juice, just like you're saying. But
Yeah.
just like the 1080 thing, it's just a bullet point people want to see. Which is stupid. They're looking at it that way, but that's what it is. People can either bitch about 3 hours or they can be excited about 7 hours. And that's what
Yeah,
people are
I was
wanting.
gonna say because most people are gonna be like Juice and not even fucking undock the thing.
Exactly.
Or they're gonna undock it, but they're not gonna stay outside holding the thing, playing it for 3 hours straight. Like this is not gonna happen.
Here, you know what though? Here's the one thing I'm going to say. For example, this coming Friday, I happen to be taking a 6-hour plane flight.
Mhm.
And that is if this was happening next year after the Switch had launched, I would like to be able to play my Switch for the entirety of that flight. But if we're going as low as we're saying, I actually wouldn't be able to.
Well, the
However,
flight-
there's probably
is
a USB-C charger thing.
yeah, is the in-air 6 hours or is
Is my flight?
yeah?
It's like 5.5, I think 6
Really?
hours almost.
Damn.
Yeah, I have to double check.